ever wondered why, when people listen to this song, and then listen to this one afterwards, it is often obvious for them which one is the amateur one. Let's take a look what makes the second one amateur. Future is here, sorry for hijacking the video. I have two upcoming shows. 21st of April, Central in Sundsvall, and 29th of April in Söderteatern in Stockholm. I just want to give something back to my community, so if you want to attend any of my shows, reach me on Instagram and I will put your name onto the guest list so that you can avoid expensive entrance fees and long queues. See you there. Having everything spread on the stereo image is one of the big tell of amateur songs. You need mono sounds as much as stereo sounds, as they act as an anchor in your stereo image. A balanced mix often has more mono on the lower frequencies, and it will get wider going up in the frequency band. When I play a riff here, watch how none of the notes are on the grid. When we change this one and have everything on grid, it sounds really artificial. Things get more obvious with the percussions. Take a listen to the shakers. It sounds really unnatural. And here's the second version. I changed only the velocity of the shakers and unlocked them from the grid. Over quantization is a big tell for amateur producers. Rule of thumb, the lower you go, the fewer elements you should have. That is the reason techno producers almost always sidechain their sub to the kick, because we often use kicks with the sub bass and they cannot occupy the same space at the same time. You probably already know you should high pass your elements if they don't contribute anything to your low end. But not high passing your reverb and delay, that's the biggest tell of amateur producers. Listen to this. So muddy, isn't it? Let me fix it in a second. Without saying where I am, probably you are already hearing I'm in a corridor, and that is important in a mix. Amateur mistake is using way too many different reverbs and delays in every channel, creating a void that gets super confusing. Use returns and buses to create coherent sounding spaces. If you're enjoying the video up to now, please consider like and subscribe. Not processing vocals properly is another big no-no in professional tracks. Take a listen to this one.
Descending into deep time.
You should process the vocals so that it fits to the track. Every vocal processing could be slightly different. In this case, we want this futuristic sound. Look how much it changes the feel once you process it properly.
Descending into deep time.
Now we are talking. We have Spring Sale at the moment on my courses, samples and preset packs. If you are looking for really cool sounds or electronic music courses, take a look. Let's make an experiment. Listen to this. This is the effect of the room modes on your sub. But maybe you're a headphone user, you don't care. Well done, you are not immune. This is Sennheiser HD650's frequency response. Do you see that dip? Many headphones have sub roll-off. And to compensate that, you most likely boost your bass 3 to 6 dB in your mixes. And because of that, too loud sub basses is one of the big giveaways of amateur tracks. But don't panic, I have a whole video about how you can balance your sub bass and bass. This should make you get it right. Let's say this is the start and this is the end of a track. You will see the energy level of tracks goes often like this. This means that there are a good amount of automation in the track and the energy levels are constantly changing to keep people occupied. In amateur's track, you will see that these energy levels are almost always constant, and when the changes happen, they are very stepwise. And this rigid structure is another big tell of an amateur track. Everybody knows this song by listening to it only 3 seconds. Top tracks almost always has a very peculiar hook. Listen to these two hooks. If your listeners can't remember the hook of your song after first listen, that is a big red flag. Art of sound selection is like this. Amateurs tend to listen to sounds on isolation and going always fattest and wettest sounds, ending up with a sound soup. Sometimes you do it intentionally. You have out of key elements, and if you repeat enough, it will sound good. But if you are not aware of it, and if it sounds really bad, that is a pigtail, and sometimes it's even worse if it is a vocal. It's a really bad one. Try to avoid it. Designers use color palettes to keep a consistent look with their designs. Having confusing colors is actually one of the big tells of amateur designers. It is pretty similar with the music. Take a listen. A confusing and a cluttered mix is another big mistake. This one is personal, overuse of outdated effects. I understand when you start producing music, it's much easier to just drop in whatever effects you find. And oftentimes the first effects that you find will be overused and outdated cheesy effects. They may sound good occasionally in the mix, but most of the times they will sound just outdated. Having inconsistent levels, I intentionally didn't say unbalanced mix because unbalanced mixes actually can sound quite good if it is done intentionally to reflect certain emotions. But let's say if you are making a peak time techno track and you have no bass, that just sounds bad. Inconsistent levels, avoid it. But the most important part is, I have done all these mistakes, and if you're a beginner producer, really don't worry about making these mistakes. We all have been there, we all have done that, and it's a normal process in learning. And you know what? Sometimes you make these mistakes and then it sounds good. And that is the beauty of being an artist. If you want to learn more about production secrets and tricks, I have tons of videos over here. Take a look.